sewage coming out of my fucking rinser this morning. Ever tried showering in manure? I want this fixed. Get it done before end of cycle and I'll throw in a juicy bonus.
So that's Poon, and he's your boss. You are watching The Ascent, and my name is Arcade, and I'm one of the co-founders and creative directors of Neon Giant. Neon Giant is a new small studio with 12 people, based on a bunch of senior developers that made game for a long time, but not together as such. And I'm here to basically blast you through the first 1.5, 2 hours of the game, but try and do it in 10 minutes with the magic of video editing. So The Ascent is an action shooter RPG. You can play it single player or 2, 3 or 4 player co-op, online or offline. This is the very first part of the game. You're down in the maintenance shaft to fix some kind of machinery that seems to be broken. Usually people don't move around much here. It can be quite dangerous and, well, not a lot of fun stuff to do. But your particular set of skills with guns and cyberdecks make you a very capable indent to send down, and there's no denying that you're pretty far down on the food chain. This is not a hero story about you being the chosen one or you're setting out to save the world. This is you trying to get by either alone or with your friends in co-op. Overall, we're really trying to set a scale and sense of verticality and a world being much bigger than the immediate area that you can move in. Since this is so early in the game, all you really have so far is a pistol, and then as game progresses, not surprisingly, you get way more weapons, armor, augmentation abilities and tactical stuff, and we'll see some of that moving through this.
Circuitry replaced.
And if we skip ahead a bit, you've just left the maintenance shaft, and something has seemingly gone awry. People are very stressed, and this is a good place to see that the world offers more than just enemies and shooty. People are very much confused. You're now on your way to Cluster 13 to find the news, basically, to see what's happened. And what you can see in the middle is the ginormous shaft, because everything in this giant arcology is built upon tier and tier and tier and tier, and the higher up you get, the basically the further you move up in status, in people's richness, in environments, and you get to see a lot of this playing through the game. But right now we're in a tier called the Warrens, which is one of the more struggling areas and definitely a harder working one. But it's not all poverty and sadness. There are hustlers, there's still fun to be had. And to not give away too much of the story, we're actually gonna skip a big chunk of the game here, which is you reaching this Cluster 13, talking to a lot of characters, getting side missions, and exploring dialogues. And we want you to experience that firsthand playing the game. So we'll move ahead a bit to us setting out to try and secure an area for a secret meeting to happen. So this is us basically on the other side of said city of Cluster 13, and we can look at the map to see where we're going. We now have one special ability, an automated weapon, and you'll see some more humanoid enemies instead of only the ferals that you could see down in the sewers. And something to notice as well is that even though there are a lot of enemies around, not all of them will attack on sight, because that's not the kind of world this is. They'll threaten you, they'll tell you to go away, And if you do, everything is fine. But we know we're gonna attack, but instead of just running in, we're gonna try and find a safe place and engage from over there. Reading your environment and using covers and things like that is a very big part of playing this game in an efficient manner. You can also see a lot of destruction that's all around in the world, and ships flying, drones being around, and just things to make the world come alive. And loot can both be found in the world or by defeating enemies or trading, and there are a myriad of ways to acquire new gear. And also the civilians in the world, they inhabit the same places as the enemies, so when combat does ensue, they get scared and run off. Again, everything to make this world come alive. And down here we can see some couches as well, that again just gives you a really good cover if you want to engage in combat. Not everything is super obvious as a cover, so it's really up to you to read the environment and you yourself decide what to hide behind. And enemies can appear from many different places, so you never know when you're quite safe. And something I think is fun in this combat is that you can actually see the guy there to the left. We took cover, but we didn't engage him immediately because we only needed cover to basically be safe from that end. So it's not always shooting over cover, it can also just be protecting your back. But now that we leveled up from this fight, we're just gonna find a good place to try and allocate some skill points as well. Every time you level up, you get a set of skill points that you can put into the kind of build of a character you want to do. And the skill points not only affect the skill itself immediately, but it also increases your attributes. And attributes in themselves is actually what scales your abilities. So depending on how you allocate your points, maybe you fire 3 spray missiles or maybe you fire 18, and that all comes into your build. This is a bit later, same mission, but again we can really see how we're using the environment as cover, but from several different angles. And the fact that just because you get into cover doesn't mean you're safe forever. You often have to continuously read the environment, you often have to move and change cover to see what's the best place for me to be in right now, depending on how the enemies try to flank you, but also just where they come from, and also of course what type of enemy it is that you're fighting. And we got some weapon drops there as well, but for weapons we already had, so no point in swapping. And if we just bring up our cyber deck, we can also make sure to highlight all enemies in the area, so it makes it easier to read the situation. And here we find a pair of really cool party pants. So we're just going to go into the journal and swap out our armor. All armor has a different set of stats with different damage types and how well they react to that. So you might have an armor that's really good against physical damage, for example, but really weak against energy, like laser weapons and stuff. And that's all up to you as well to figure out how you want to build your character. And all the armor, all the weapons, everything in the game is handcrafted with custom art and names and descriptions, and everything is there to build on the lore of the world, so everything has a place. And here we get really lucky because that jogger actually dropped both a grenade and a shotgun, two things we didn't have as well, and that's just pure luck. So I'm glad we got that on video. So let's grab the shotgun and change the grenade. The tactical equipment like grenades are filled up by causing damage and injuring enemies. And here we can see clearly that shotgun isn't really very good at a distance, but super efficient when you're close up. So then it comes down to managing your two equipped weapons back and forth, and there's even a skill that's about weapon swapping. And we'll wrap up this with one of the late mission fights, and we just really hope that you enjoy what you see, that you are excited for the game, and that you'll play it when it's out this year. Thank you so much.